President Biden has just taken a huge crap on progress. I mean, like, he sounds like he's for social justice and like for progress and for stopping the problems, but I don't know,
dude. So Biden is too busy to discriminate or to decriminalize marijuana, Harris says.
He will continue to discriminate against people that are using marijuana, and of course, the arrest data shows that it disproportionately impacts Black and brown people. Yeah. And evidently, the arrests are not a big priority. He'd rather talk about infrastructure than realize that what we're doing currently is just ruining that infrastructure from the inside out in various communities across our country. And that by starting with cannabis legalization, you can have a stream of revenue to pay for all this effing infrastructure stuff that he wants to do.
It's not just that. In my opinion, dude, the summer we just had is a prime example of why we need to end prohibition and just get policing correct. Because, you know, it's just like with the vaccine and how minority communities don't want to get vaccinated because the government has been fucked up and does fucked up shit. We need to change that narrative. We need it to get it to where we can trust police. I don't want to hate police. I don't think all cops are bad. I got nice shit.
Yeah. You want that stuff protected. You kind of like your stuff.
Yeah. So, you know, this vice president, wrong one.
Hey, how you there you go.
Vice President Kamala Harris says Biden administration isn't focused on following through on its marijuana reform pledges because it's too overwhelmed with responding to the coronavirus pandemic. In an interview with the San Francisco
I get that. Well, I mean, we could talk about the interview with San Francisco Chronicle, but like, I understand that responding to the pandemic is important. Let's not put more resources on the problem. Let's not arrest these people that are smoking weed then.
Right. Like what effort is it take to end prohibition? Like what? So we're creating more paperwork for you to do to help people get their freedom. What right. Process? What is it here that we're tying up and fixated on that is such a hang up?
Do you just not like doing stuff that is popular?
It just, you know, well, wouldn't the MORE Act itself, it wouldn't create legalization. It would just have decriminalized it. So like the MORE Act itself is something that, you know, we're not asking for you to fix it all at once. We're just asking you to give us a chance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the MORE Act is a big legislative dream, and maybe one day we'll get there. I'm still fascinated to hear, what are you going to do, Chuck Schumer? What are you going to do? But
come on, Lucy.
Doesn't really matter, it seems, with Biden. And so this is the first time that either Harris or Biden has publicly talked about weed since the November election. So like they have not mentioned it in 5 months. And then what's the specific? Do we have a, yeah, we do. And so do we have a question to her?
Oh yeah. For the interview.
The vice president was asked about cannabis policy. Yeah, I wanted to see the question they asked her about cannabis policy.
Well, I said in an interview that San Francisco, the vice president was asked about cannabis policy and said, we haven't. Oh, yeah, they didn't show the question itself.
You're right. But that says, what's her quote? Honestly, right now, we've been focused on getting people food, helping them stay in their apartments or their homes, getting kids back to school, getting shots into arms. That has been all consuming.
Hey, I get it. I mean, it's getting better,
right? But almost more than 500,000 people, like 550,000 people died. That's a big deal. That's almost as many people as they're going to arrest this year for cannabis possession. You know,
and they didn't have to die. Just like these people don't have to be arrested. Like if we just had proper leadership with proper, you know, just setting the example, we could go further, better. But
right,
I get it. And that's why I was saying. I honestly am afraid that states will legalize it faster than this goddamn administration, even though they had potential to do it.
Well, they aren't legalizing it that quickly. It doesn't look like Pennsylvania's going to make it out the gate. Florida's got 7 bills. We'll talk about them on the show. And then, so smash some likes and hit subscribe. I don't think we've said that yet today.
Oh, yeah.
I like how just suddenly during the, hey, yeah, let's have some banter. Oh, yeah, some nice, but don't forget to smash some likes and hit subscribe.
I would like to point out though how surreal this is though sometimes. I mean, I know it's meta in popular video or movies sometimes, but
sure.
Yeah, man, just being someone who was like a YouTube follower in the beginning, and then like every once in a while I find myself saying that, like even in my dreams, I'm like and subscribe. Oh my god, what the fuck I just do?
Yeah. It is a very strange skill set that you develop doing YouTubes, but I guess it's a very strange skill set that you develop doing radio or doing any type of communication type a job. I think it would be nice if somebody could help with our productions, but hey, we're doing all right. We're doing all right, man. We're reaching people. We're talking about cannabis legalization, which is more to say than the Biden administration, which is not talking about cannabis legalization. They're more concerned about anything related to the coronavirus. And so when the coronavirus goes away and those problems go away, what next are they going to pay attention to when they say we don't have to pay attention to weed, because they still trivialize you? Like weed is still trivialized. So like if you're going to like trivialize weed and say it's no big deal, then why the fuck is it a big deal according to your law? Then why is it in Schedule 1 if you don't think it's a big deal and you don't have to pay attention to it?
And if it's no big deal, why do we still have people behind bars? Why do we have people with their lives being, just dying, literally dying this year after arrest, and also people's kids taken away? Like, if it's just marijuana, if it's just pot, then why are we fucking with people's lives? This is yeah, man.
Yeah. I mean, if you can name that strain on here with it, and if you do want to, send pictures of your illegal weed to my Instagram. Just go ahead and DM me at Cannabis Industry Lawyer on Instagram. You'll be able to find us. There was a couple of dank strains that came through. Some Florida weed. I don't think we have Florida weed tomorrow. I'm not sure where tomorrow's weed's from, but hopefully it was legal. That's the rules. I don't want to be showing illegal weed out there, guys.
Well, if you go into the whole like sovereign domain, technically it's all legal.
No, the sovereign citizens are what we like to call bonkers. And so like that's just completely wrong. That's not how it is. It's like conspiracy theorist type stuff, or I like to call them classic crackpots.
Yeah, or QAnons.
Well, I don't even like to use that term because it's going to be on a list somewhere, and that list will get us triggered, and then we'll be put into an array, and then we might get shelved and warehoused, and then suddenly we're part of another shadow ban. And that's when we aren't going to be able to play Name That Strain with our friends and relatives. And so that's one of the reasons why today we aren't going to play Name That Strain. Let's go to a pot stock.
What do we got?
I don't know what pot stock we have. I'm just trying to find one so we can see which one's in the news right now.
Right on. I think
all right, pop this one on, man. You have the no, you don't have a screen share up at all.
I can still share it. Show me.
Oh, that's all right. I have it as well. It's just that I thought we had a window open. Here are 3 pot stocks to avoid like the plague in April. Unlike most of them, I have been avoiding them like the plague. Beyond April, I avoided them like the plague in March. Yeah. And they sold off a bit, but they're still a little too expensive for me. And without any new markets coming online, I just don't see how this is going to get any better for them. But labeled as the absolute worst marijuana stock money can buy, Sundial Growers, NASDAQ, that is SNDL. Never heard of them. Oh, yeah, cool. Right. Short squeeze. Nice. Huh. See, I mean, like, it's Canadian. And so, like, in Canada, they can do this type of stuff. MedMen Enterprises, OTC is MMNFF. It is a penny stock.
People should know better with them, though. Like, their name should precede them forever. Like, I don't even know why they're still in business.
Well, then there's Aurora Cannabis, which is somehow on the NSE as ACB. And nobody should ever do that and like buy Aurora. Aurora's balance sheet is terrible. Here we go. Right? Aurora's finish line to hit positive adjusting earnings before interest, tax, and EBITDA has been pushed back to a number of times. Since hitting positive EBITDA isn't a requirement of the company's debt covenant, this failure isn't something to be swept under the rug, which is great. The company's just in default. Always. It's hilarious.
Well, is the failure for these companies is the failure because they're able to raise a lot of money, but they actually don't know how to use it and implement it with the storefront? Because I mean, essentially, when you have a garden or anything cannabis, like if you're in the physical industry, you have to be a brick and mortar. There has to be tangible goods.
Yep. I tell you, Aurora Cannabis, if they issue more stock, that means that they've gone from 1.3 million shares in 2014 to 300 million shares of stock now, which is again like big cannabis is not the way to do this industry.
Mm-mm.
It's not.
Well, doesn't that also, like, I mean, because if they're going to sell more shares of their own company, doesn't that also devalue the other shares? Because now it's just paper money they're creating and saying, oh, we're worth this much, but not really.
Correct.
And then yet rich people who make well beyond what I have give these people 6-figure checks thinking they're going to get something back.
They give them bigger figures than 6, man. Come on, 7 or 8.
Fucking bitch. Yo, anybody who's wealthy, invest in us.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. But it's just that the industry seems to cost a lot of money, raise a lot of money, and not get any results on the Capitol Hill. So hopefully,
yeah. But where does the money go?
Do you think Biden's going to turn around on this?
I honestly, I think it will. I mean, I know we've talked before about how they always send out these political feelers and trying to see like what the general pulse is for the the population. Like we just said okay for interns. We just fired the interns. What is the nation's pulse on this? And honestly, it should be pissed off. But I would hope, they do come around. Hopefully with Kamala. It's always political speak.
I think everybody's gonna be super happy this year.
I think so too. I think it's gonna be a good year for weed.
It's everybody gets their vaccine, they get back outside, they're out of prison from home release, and then the world gets back to normal, and then maybe we'll get some changes on cannabis legalization after it gets, and we get legal sales out east, and then we see people like getting money, making business. Who knows? We're going to talk about the South. I think the South is going to take years. I mean, we're going to be doing this show for at least another decade. Easily.
Oh, at least.
Yeah.
Again, even if they signed it tomorrow, it's still not going to be resolved in the end.
Oh, yeah. But that's great because that means that we have so many more tomorrows that's going to feature one of these.
Pencils down.
Pencils down. One day, that'll still, I bet, be against the policy. I bet we're not supposed to have beers while we're on YouTube either.
I don't think they're going to reform that. I don't think they're going to get tighter. I mean, they'll definitely get a little looser. I mean, there's still a lot of people smoking on their channel, and granted, we're not going to take that risk, but it's just like, even though YouTube loosened their regs, but their loosened regs were very, very lawyer-like.
That's the regulations were written by lawyers.
Yeah.
More than one, probably like, I want you to take a draft and then I want you to pass it over to them. And then I want you to read the draft. And then Gary, I want you to go pull the regs. We're going to have some drafts for you to read here in about 4 days. Yeah.
And that's how your policies are made.
That's exactly. And then after the policy is really nice, then you get an email from a company saying, we've updated our terms of service.
Yeah. But those terms of service, the way they do that with the lawyerism is it's kind of like in the Navy. There was a catch-all for anything that you did if you fucked up. It was called unbecoming an officer. Like, even though you weren't, it was just like you picked your nose in front of something. You're in trouble now, and that's for. There was always, I think it's Article 11 or some shit like that. But
there should be a list of everything that is unbecoming of an officer, so that we know exactly as we go down the list. Am I becoming an officer or not?
That's a pretty good one, dude. Well, hey, I'm going to try and make it to this event now.
You do that. You hit that event. And, don't forget to catch up with me on Friday. I'm going to be over in Indianapolis doing the CBD Midwest Expo. So check us out there. And then we're going to be coming to another place and another place. Hopefully this summer, you'll be able to see us at these trade show events, which used to be what the cannabis industry was. And so it's going to be a lot more fun now having this this podcast tool that we can use to meet people at these trade shows and then tell them to come back and watch us here on this humble little YouTube channel. So tune in next time on another exciting episode of this thing.